Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Focus on Parliament. This week and today, we commemorate the International Day Against Corruption. So it's an anti-corruption day. But part of the conversations that we are going to have is our commitment as a country towards, ending and mitigating corruption. The things that happen in Parliament, the degeneration of conversation that is happening in Parliament, but most importantly, our commitment to the human rights defense as we go forward. And today, to have this conversation with me, I have two gentlemen, and a lady will join us later. But to start off a conversation, I have Mr. Michael Aboneka, who is a human rights lawyer. And I think one of the critical areas I remember you on was on education.
Yes.
Thank you for putting up a spirited fight.
You are welcome. And I'm happy to be back on our show. And I hope we'll have a good conversation.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And then next to him is Paul Tricia Mukalere, who is a communications and advocacy officer at African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims. And if we're talking about torture, that is a conversation that is in the gallery and in the public today. When we talk about arbitrary arrests, he's a person that will link the conversation for us in understanding when we speak torture and torture victims, what are we really talking about in regard to Uganda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for hosting me here. It is my first time to be here, but I feel we are going to have a very candid conversation. And also, I'm also happy to share with people who are going to be here with us today.
And I hope you can become a regular.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, I am very glad and honored to host you, especially because it's quite an interesting period. Today, we celebrate or we commemorate International Day of the Anti-Corruption Day. But the reality is, we continue to lose money. Money is bleeding through this country. So what energies or, what reality are we living in as Uganda? And I'll begin with you, Michael, when it comes to that.
Wow. So corruption has had many songs. People have composed many songs about corruption. But to start with, Article 17I is the effect that it is everyone's duty as a citizen to fight corruption.
Yes.
The 10-point programs of the NRM government, one of the 10 points is about fighting corruption. The vision of the IGG, of the Inspectorate of Government, it is interesting. It is a just and corrupt-free Uganda. That's the vision.
Yes.
And we hope we will get there. Now, corruption is too deep-rooted that it is like a tree. When you start to uproot the tree, you will start to see roots that you've never seen, going to directions and houses of people spanning distances. So it's that a big issue, but it's also a cancer. Corruption eats our roads, corruption eats our hospitals, corruption eats our life, corruption eats our blood, and that is a bad thing. Now, let me give you some context. Uganda, under the Corruption Perception Index, I think last year we scored we were 144 out of 180. We are still doing bad. We are still doing bad. We lose about 20 trillion per year. 20 trillion shillings per year. And how much is our budget? 44 trillion.
I know.
So half of the budget
is eaten in corruption.
So meaning a school is eaten, a borehole is eaten, and that means that life is being eaten. So in essence, the guys that are corrupt, they are cannibals. The one who steals the money that is meant for hospital is a cannibal because he's eating a human life.
And I love that you call it by its name, because it's easy to put it in numbers and say this much money has been lost. But this hospital is not going to be built simply because money has been eaten.
Exactly.
And so when we call it, they've eaten a hospital, we are speaking to the reality of the fact that it should have been a hospital built that is lacking in this sense.
Yes.
Interesting.
According to Afrobarometer, 2 out of 10 Ugandans believe that the government of Uganda has lost the fight to fighting corruption. That is very bad. 2 out of 10 of every Ugandan. believes that government, we've failed. Because you can't say our budget is 40 trillion and we are losing 20 trillion to corruption. So then what are we doing about it? So corruption is, and I wanted to paint that picture that corruption corrupts. You know, it's coming from the word, you know, it corrupts morals, it corrupts your mind, it corrupts everything. So if you continue doing it, if you eat a road, you're supposed to do 5 layers and then you eat 3.
That happened to the bypass.
Yeah, and then you do 1. So it means that then you've deprived people and then you're going to have more accidents. I've been fighting about street lights. You've been fighting about all these things that you ask yourself, but there was a design. If this road is the most expensive road in the world, how come it has no lights?
That's true.
So corruption is even not just about money. There's also something called official corruption, that the failure to do something that is actually going to lead to loss. You know, that is also corruption. And actually the Anti-Corruption Act gives a range, misuse and abuse. If you are in charge and funds are diverted. I remember one of the ministries sometime was invited to Parliament committee and they asked them about the money. They said the money went to print some NRM manifestos.
Oh.
What do you do? Because they have said let the money print NRM manifesto and it's on record. So that the thing about corruption is that people forget that tomorrow, the same institutions you're eating money from, you're going to end up there and they will tell you, we have no bed where to put you. Because then you think, even if you think,
and so we have to charter you to Kenya.
Yes, and hoping that COVID wouldn't have locked down.
Yes.
At the time when there was an equalizer. The late Miles Munro says, death is an equalizer.
Yeah.
We shouldn't wait that point to say, you know what, death has equalized us. That's the only time when we are equal. But the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says everyone is born equal. So why do you want to have a concentration of roads, of hospitals just around you for yourselves? You have a private wing in Mulago. Then you have to pay money to go to a private wing. But it's nothing like private tax. Everyone pays tax. So I think that we need to look at it in the broader sense that when corruption eats, it eats deeply. It eats the marrow of the life of society.
Yeah.
Those potholes, I know young people in Kangumira who died because of a pothole. So their life ended because of a pothole. Someone refused to fix it or they ate the money.
And it is as easy as fixing it.
It's as easy as that. So I think that if we want to fight this fight is that we have to collectively take it upon ourselves. And also, we started some things, but the picture is gloomy. Let me end with this one. Do you know that we have about 300,000 public servants who are supposed to declare their wealth? 300,000. 300,000. And only like 1.5 of them have declared. This is in the IG's report.
And so when the IGG calls for a lifestyle audit, she's rightly so calling out the fact that it's not making sense.
It's not making sense. And of the leaders, including the MPs or ministers, they're about 28,000 and only about 10,000 have declared. So the 10,000 leaders, who include MPs, who include the rest, have never declared.
How can we have deliberate action towards that?
It is mandated by law. Probably some of us will take on a public interest litigation. You say, these people are supposed to declare. They have not. And according to the law, can they be forced to declare under mandamus? Because the law is saying declare. And I don't know, the IG has powers. I don't know why she's fearing to take them on. If you have a whole 10,000 leaders, political leaders that have not declared wealth, then why even just talking about it as a problem? Invoke your powers.
I think that is where the disconnect is that we really love to talk about it.
Yeah.
But are we doing something about it? A lot of people have said poverty has a female face. And so I don't want to talk about corruption and poverty without having a female voice on this conversation. So part of the conversation around corruption reminds me of the fact that we cannot divorce poverty and corruption. Because what would have pushed us into a different element, into middle income status, could easily be that corruption has refused to be dealt with. But I want to bring you in there, Honorable Obigah. When it comes to addressing, we have the PDM somewhere there looking for money. in a state where there is ardent corruption, poverty will come tagging along to remind you something is not working. And we have all these initiatives where the PDM somewhere in the corner soliciting for money, and it seemingly also that money is missing. And then we have rural schools that are operational. And for the better part, they look like they will fall apart anytime soon. But there is money accorded to service delivery. How do we, and not just deal with it, but overturn, the corruption that seemingly has eaten on service delivery? Because someone who needs to be held accountable. And not just to say, oh, we recovered this much money, because the statement of the minister said we recovered 18 point something money, but doesn't say, because then this money goes to a consolidated fund. But then to what end did we have someone pay for the money recovered?
Okay, thank you, dear listener. Rose Obigah, your friend and the most rural MP in the 11th Parliament. Reason is my niche is that last person.
Yes.
That rural person whom no one thinks about. Corruption has two faces. One face is fat, beautiful,
Untouchable.
nice, untouchable. Another face is so thin, impoverished, poorly dressed, no footwear, everything is in tatters. Yeah, I don't like talking about PDM. I'm so disgruntled, I'm disgusted. From the time go, it's like it wants to collapse. It's like it's not doing anything. First, we started talking about 100 million. From 100 million,
we went low.
Even when we went low, others have got 3 million. So what are we actually giving? What is it that we want to implement? What do we want to achieve? If you want me as Rose Obigah to achieve something, provide.
Yes.
Give me the resources, let me work. But I can tell you, to me, this PDM seems to be taking corruption now to the grassroots.
Yes.
Because so many cows have been arrested. It's like a Tandikwa, no impact. Now we have just gone into, we are from Imyoga. Before even we can conceptualize Imyoga, now something else has come. It comes and goes, it comes and goes. The president, yes, has a good faith. He wants to do the right thing. But are people willing? Those who are working with him, maybe the fishermen he has surrounded himself with.
And the fisherwomen.
The fishermen and fisherwomen. He doesn't want those who can do it and do it real. Because he said, no, I'm not looking for your degrees, your capacity.
I have my fishers of men.
And women. So, therefore, it is really, really imperative on every Ugandan to cut the coat according to the size.
Yeah.
There's need for total mindset change from grassroots. Actually, me, I would say from undergrass. Because for me, I'm coming from undergrass. When people say from grass to grace, me, I'm from undergrass.
Undergrass to grass.
For me, I'm from undergrass to grass now. It is really terrible, my sister and my friends. I do not anywhere agree with any corruption tendencies. But do all Ugandans agree to this? Do they want to do the right thing? Who wants to do this? Even those you think should be leading in the fight against corruption, you find they have dirty things everywhere.
Yes.
So you wonder, maybe have they gotten saved? Now, when you say, okay, this is a person who has already gotten saved and is willing to do the right thing, then you find another mess. Once you're saved, you should really be saved, not to change your address
and go back and do another mess. True.
The wrong thing. So corruption in this country is real. Fighting corruption comes from each and every one. Talking about it is not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we now join hands and fight corruption? Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar and let God take what is for God. Go to constituencies. I want to tell you it's even worse in local governments. I think basically work that is done is from you using your personal money. Because when you ask some technocrats, can you go and monitor for me something? Others first want money.
Yes.
Even some councillors, when you say, I'm in your constituency, but you didn't invite me. Inviting me means
give me
can
money.
You allocate money? Now, I'm an individual. I thought me and you can join hands and support the other last person because we're leaders. We have people who are out of this country. You know, somebody calls you and says, can we support the other project? Me, who is abroad, sends 500,000 or 1 million and expects the member of parliament to put maybe like 10 million, 5 million, 3 million. Now, somebody says, we are, in quotes, group of Terego in Sudan. We want to buy chairs. Can you send us money? Taking money of people here
to give to the people in Sudan.
Outside. And we are a group of people here in Kampala. We want you to bring also money that is supposed to go to your constituency. Come and support our function here. You get mad. When you say, can you go through your area MP? Then I will task your area MP next time also to give the same thing to my place, to avoid being corrupt. Yes. Because what I'm giving is not belonging to your constituency. No. Leave my area MP out of this. Me, I only want you. I think this is corruption. Exactly. Corruption comes in various forms. Telling lies is corruption. Yes. You hide everything. You don't do it well. So for me, my point would be, if God could come to Uganda only, and reside in every mind of every Ugandan and say, can you change and stop? Pick only what is yours. Use the other balance, which is even yours, to help the other vulnerable person. Because poverty and corruption, the result of corruption is poverty. Only few will have. And I tell people who are rich, who have amassed wealth out of corruption, I always often tell them, whatever you have, the poor will one day take it from you. And we shall suffer the same disease. One, the children of the poor will be abnormally fat, develop pressure, diabetes, remain in the hospital, taking medicine, spend a lot. The children of the poor will be malnourished, grow in bad condition, go to bad schools, poorly furnished schools, but later on they will catch up and take up what belongs to the rich. So what is better to do is to make sure you uplift them and we move the same path. Many MPs do not want to empower their constituency, thinking it's easier and better to manage poor people. You actually, you actually.
I don't know if even the poor people have power.
You're actually setting yourself a target. Because one day, when they'll wake up and understand that this is what is supposed to take place, you can't believe. You will never see parliament. You remain somewhere. So either way, it's not only parliament. Every leader, when you're appointed in an office, whether you're a head teacher, whether you're what, the little can be shared. To me, I believe Uganda is quite enough for all of us. The resources in this country are quite enough. Actually, excess. If we were to be genuine, the money we lose to corruption every financial year is in trillions. And I sit back and say, is it true? And why is IGG not biting? Me, I don't agree with the IGG statement where leaders who have failed to declare assets, then you leave them. You know, what kind of IGG is this? You resign. Resign, please resign, leave us the office. Because if you can't bite, what is it?
Because a few months, 2 years into service, because it's in the tenure of the new parliament, I'm imagining that this should have been a process that would have happened already. And we vet, we know who is who, we know who has what. And so to say that it has not been done to the full, evidence of it is to question why the IGG continues to talk about corruption, lifestyle audits, without us having an actual audit of the assets belonging to the people.
During the time of submission of these documents, the reports, IGG line is congested. At times you fail to blame the members. You submit. Not all of us are by the computer literate. I should thank God I'm a quick learner. I first saw computer, is it after senior 6? We didn't have computers. Let's be honest here.
Yes.
After senior
we are trying to catch up with the digital era.
Now, I have submitted It has stayed. It doesn't give me a report. I don't know whether it's supposed to give me a report. I don't know. Because you are new.
But it is submitted.
Yeah. My being in the 11th Parliament does not mean I'm from heaven. I'm a natural human being. Now, somewhere it has bounced.
And you don't know.
I even don't know.
I hear you.
So for me, these many numbers of people not submitting and so forth is basically based on IGG. There are lines, they must create hotlines, many, and send back and say, oh, we have not got message from you. This is a good way. It shouldn't be maybe fault finding. They should help us to declare. And then this nonsense of, I am as wealth in my names, and this is not enough for me. I use my daughter's name, buy houses, do what, and this must stop. They should go ahead and confiscate what is in my daughter's name. Because if we don't do like this, how else are we going to fight corruption?
I hear you.
But you find big fish are left there. Nothing mentioned about them. Now, what is this? Honestly, what is this? So corruption for me, this topic actually makes me sick. You want me to go and pass by a hospital because it eats to people's bone marrow. It is worse than cancer. People continue to be poor. Few will have jobs. Those who have the jobs, because they're not the right persons, they have just been put there, they can't even produce any results. They're just sitting there warming space, keeping space. What people I saw in the ministries when I was in a district local government as a secretary general, that was 19 sometime back, I don't know, over 20 years. And I knew by that time they were not less than 40 years. They should have been 50, early 50s. I'm shocked to see most of them are still there.
They're not living. And I'm pretty sure also they've reached
1998, 1995. I saw them very well.
26, 27 there.
27? Today, I knew they were around 50. I would even see them very well. But they are not ashamed. They are busy sitting there occupying space. Why don't you resign? Why don't you take space?
They retire, yeah.
And people who are retiring, you can't believe somebody is crying, oh, me, I'm going home with total nakedness. I don't have anything. What were you doing? So there must really, I think there must be people in this country who should specifically take their time, maybe on TV, on telling people who are working, please do something. But for example, can you only plant for yourself 3 or 5 acres of trees, timber trees, from the time you join? At least in my first year of parliament, it will be an insult if I've not, up to now, if I don't have 30 acres of planted trees. In case when you don't come back, you can even sell your house, but you will not sell the 30 acres of trees. And then if you sell now, you deserve to die. Because it's the lack of investment that makes people get so desperate and start taking what is not theirs. Because you see, time is going, I've not had enough. And I would call it greed. Me as Rose, I know I'm not a minister. I know I'm not a commissioner in parliament. I'm not a speaker. But I'm a member of parliament. I should cut my skirt according to my size.
Cloth,
But people want to compete and be at the level of prime minister, speaker. Really? Will you manage? You want to drive a car, pull your nose high, and this is the car, this is the kind of wine. Sometimes I get amused, I look at my colleagues. You are busy eating in Sheraton. But these people have bad food.
But you continue going.
If you say Sheraton food is bad food, which food is better?
Which food is better? True.
You come to parliament, you find Otigo, Bo, this local food, nice one. You say, it is bad food. Which one is good food? Why didn't you carry your food and cut it? So, do they want these fries or they want pasted? They want, we're having boils. You find the same person. Oh, mama, this. You go to sleep, they take you for a workshop. No, this bed is too soft. No, this bed is too hard. No. Hate corruption.
Yes, I hear you.
Because, which means what you have accrued is more than what you can have.
True.
Now that it makes you mad to think of what is not actually there. You don't appreciate anything. You don't appreciate life. why I'm in Parliament, by the way, is the most vulnerable person.
Yes.
I'm one of them. I thank Red Cross that introduced my mind to vulnerability.
Yeah.
It has stuck in my brain that all of us should support the most vulnerable.
Yes.
Because if we don't support them, they'll continue to pull this country. We can never move to another level. We shall always remain. And this is through releasing ourselves from any tendencies of corruption. But the corruption in this country is untold. I don't know what kind of fight we are going to stage. I don't know whether we should start. I don't know which style. But for me, I think it's mindset change. Ugandans should appreciate the little they have. They should love each other. Most importantly, become patriotic and serve others the way they want to be served. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Obigah. And I want to bring you in this conversation because she reminded me of Black Monday movement.
Yep.
And the work Black Monday movement had begun. We had the name and shame campaign.
Yes.
People were calling government to act. Like we knew the face of who was eating which money, which ministry had which money be taken. And so with the Black Monday movement, it almost looked like we now know the face of the thief. But that effort was also stifled to a point where Black Monday movement remained as a memory in our anti-corruption fight. How do we, as a country, or even as countrymen, and I know Transparency International has tried to continue this conversation with their annual reports. Today, Uganda, in 2021, stands at the position of 144 as the least corrupt. Rwanda is 52, Tanzania is 87, Kenya is 128 of least corrupt. And so when we look at the mathematics there, we are doing badly. So how do we sustain causes of name and shame, of asking for punitive measures? How do we sustain such causes in dealing with this pandemic?
Thank you. For me, one thing I always say is that even if we name and shame, even if we write reports, even if we talk, nothing can
You've
be
given
done.
up on us.
Why? Because I always tell people, what is corruption?
True.
Corruption is, it can be commission or omission. You are expected to do something and you refuse to do something, or you do something selfishly. I always tell people at work that even you are supposed to work for 8 hours a day. Your contract says so, but you work for 3 hours. That is corruption.
Yes.
Corruption is beyond money.
Yes, I hear
and the other time I was laughing at our president walking. You can't walk corruption.
you can't.
It
Yes,
is,
walking
and the late speaker, Jacob
Deputy
Olanya,
Speaker.
said, we know the people who are corrupt.
Yeah.
Why should we come and walk?
When we know
Yes,
that people.
if you are failing, take action. So for me, it is about we have failed to do what is expected of us. And it starts with those small efforts. Honorable was talking about taking it to the local person.
Yes.
How do we appreciate corruption? You see? So for me, it is, we can write reports. I think even that position you're talking about, Uganda being rated, I think we are even worse than that.
It's
You
possible.
see, for me, reports can be misleading.
Yeah.
But it is about us in unison saying, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Let everyone do his. It is a tall order to expect MPs to fight it. It starts with us. Let everyone
On an
do.
individual basis.
Yes, let everyone do what is expected of them. Whether it is in the government, whether it is in civil society. There is also a lot of corruption in civil society. There is someone who says that there is a journalist one time who came to my office and said that if I was to write an investigative story about corruption in civil society, I would not be alive the following day.
Yes, it's possible.
Yes, because we always talk about government, but who is government? Government is us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are talking about the IGG, but who is the IGG of civil society? Do we have an IGG for civil society? So, for me, it is about when we take decisions and we say, okay, where have we gone wrong? The other time, the minister was talking about her fear there are some big fish. I mean, she was interviewed.
Yeah, and they were saying they have 26, they're investigating 26 high-profile people.
That we fear, we can't touch them. Now, then why are you a minister?
If you can't touch them.
Why? If you are, you should just resign, because I mean it shows you have failed to do something. And you see, talking about corruption and poverty, even in justice.
Yes.
When you have a corrupt state or society, even it becomes difficult to access justice. It becomes difficult for a poor person to access these places.
Yes.
In terms of courts.
Even services
You see, there is a person who came to me and said, for me, when I'm appearing before these judges, there are some judges who have, who I don't expect anything. Someone is just judged because of appearance, prejudice. There are some lawyers who say, no, I can't appear before this judge, before this judicial officer. Corruption. You see, so for me, it is about opinion. And unfortunately, when people come out talk about these things, some people think that we are seeking fame, we are cheap popularity. You see, passion is mistaken for what do you want to funira more? Funira more. We are seeing you all over. That is the problem. So that is the problem. And when someone comes out to speak, I like her passion. When she's speaking,
she speaks her truth. Passion. Meanwhile,
yes,
it is
now,
truth to power.
Now another person will say, she's now looking for a ministerial position. Yes,
yeah.
So that is the problem we have in the country.
But also, we're telling the president that these are the right people.
Yes. So it is about, that is the challenge we have. That even when people keep quiet, I think they ate something.
Yeah.
When people come speak, I think they are looking for something. That is the disease we have in the country.
And maybe, let me bring Michael into this conversation. We have 400 billion right now being spent in Ibanda to celebrate Anti-Corruption Day and the recovery of 41 million in our treasuries when it comes to dealing with corruption. It's laughable, but it is also sad. Because now I'm confused with all, we have the IGG, we have the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, we have all these entities that speak to dealing with corruption. And we've gotten 400 billion to go and celebrate one day that we are dealing with corruption. When the members of parliament were, sharing on the floor of parliament, their pickup lesson was that why don't we do what Tanzania did?
Yeah.
Get this money, divert it into building schools, make sure we have, different entities getting this money and using it for a better cause, instead of hosting a whole, commemoration of that day. And it wasn't possible because the minister said, we've already spent part of this money. But in hindsight, when I look at that conversation, it almost like we are now seeing the problem. How do we get to that point of action? Unanimously, we've come to the conclusion that this is something we can deal, this event we can deal with it without it. We can then, channel this money into the actual service delivery, into building schools, into building roads. Perhaps we'll have a highway to Ibanda that has flyovers. And we have different development show up to say, as we are dealing with corruption, this is what we've managed to put up. How do we have that?
Yeah, so while you were giving that background, my heart was sinking because the whole day we've been talking about the same things. And for me, the question is, how many major highways do we have going to the east, going to the border, going to Terego? How many highways do we have?
Terego has no tarmac.
No electricity. That's no electricity.
Very rural.
But how much do they need?
And it is doable.
West Nile has been off the grid and all they needed was 20 billion.
That is all.
You know what I mean? And people are there dying. There's no...
I saw hospitals. People are dying in hospitals.
Recently, Tororo has always been on and off, where the hospital is being demanded money by bills by Umeme, and they are switched off. How much? 50 million.
Wow.
And you hear spending 400 billion, or even if it is 40 billion, even if it was 1 billion on an event. Okay, I would agree and say, go and spend that money on condition that when you come back, corruption is out of Uganda.
And we will still be having
You get what
this
I mean?
conversation. Even
Yeah, that's okay. Go and spend this money. Whether you're doing charms or whatever you're doing,
But just make sure when you
return. I think sometimes we need such presidents who feel like their wires are messed
Radical.
up. Radical and say, okay, go spend that money. But before you come back,
make sure
corruption is out. If corruption is a metal, let's buy the biggest magnet and it picks it out of Uganda. Because you see, these are the problems. And I can assure you, honorable members, can we audit that expenditure?
I hear you.
Can we audit it? And we say, really, for an event. And that money is actually the people of Uganda, how many people are going to benefit? Even the people of Uganda themselves. Yeah? These guys won't want to sleep there.
Because that's
they will drive in the morning.
They
will drive in the morning and yet claim per diem. They won't sleep in Uganda.
The Uganda people will not even get a bottle of water.
You can imagine.
Nothing.
So the money is going to come back to them. Budgeted the money. Yeah. So and I want to actually ask Honorable that we raise this, that we have always these so many days we are celebrating. Can we do an audit on these budgets? And even if it's passed a moratorium as government, as cabinet, that we don't need to spend this amount of money. COVID here came, there was a lockdown. Did we die because we didn't celebrate? No. There were virtual celebrations in State House. And did we die? So I think that our priorities are miscalculated. And I think it all comes back to leadership. I don't think that the president should allow this. The Tanzanian model. Moreover, it is independence, which you would say, it's okay, let us celebrate. And she said, no, no one is celebrating independence.
Let's build schools.
Let's build schools. Kenya, they are in conversations of now children shouldn't go to boarding school. And those are the levels of conversations they're having. I know corruption, yes, is an issue, but you see, leadership is important.
Yes. And
this is why I call upon, at the parliament. I know that sometimes because corruption is personal, you're also asking, is there a budget for members of parliament? You get what I mean? Is there a budget for us? Increase. We want like 2 million. Then we will pass it. Now, you have very few rows of Obighas. Okay,
is that 2 million going to be given?
Yeah. So you have very few rows of Obighas who will put up a fight, and then they will be overshadowed. But ladies and gentlemen, let us ask. Okay, they are going to come, give a speech, and then what?
And then
what? Black man became very dangerous because every day of the action we did, we had over 200 people arrested.
Yes.
For doing Article 17I, that you have a duty for performing a citizen's duty. It became a terror activity. We spend time in burning people. You spend time in, and you say, but I am doing a constitutional duty. And some of us, we actually going to ask a constitutional court, if I am doing a citizen constitutional duty, why should the government again rain on me? It is a duty under Article 17. Do you know the only duty they tell people to pay tax? But it is also a duty to combat corruption. And if citizens, and they can use all means available. So the thing about is that we should do away with such wastage. First of all, you're saying we are a broke government. We don't have money to pay people. They keep writing circulars. Your money will be delayed. Your money will be delayed. But you're spending, and one of the reasons, there are major 3 reasons why corruption exists.
High budgets ever.
Size of government, and then the luxury in spending. Okay? The luxury in spending.
Actually, this is so luxurious.
Yes.
So luxurious.
It's so luxurious.
Let me give you an angle. You have a minister who doubles as an MP. That minister receives a car as an MP, but he has a car as a minister. So when you're going to Uganda, which car are you driving?
And he receives the salary twice.
The salary is always like one, and then you decide, and then normally they take the highest.
They take the highest,
which is for MP, and then. But the point is, you are given fuel, you're given mileage, okay, as an MP who is a minister.
Yes.
But you also have a budget for fuel
as a minister.
As a minister. So when you're driving to Uganda, which car do you drive? I want them to drive both because they are both yours. But they drive one, they read the number plate because it's minister.
Yes.
The wastage. Can't they use a bus? I like the honorable members of parliament, if they are going for official business, they use the parliamentary buses.
But
otherwise, they would be saying, even us, we have our own cars. Mine is a V8. It needs the 1 million. Yeah. If members of parliament can sit in a bus to go and monitor a road, last time I saw even their bus was stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't ministers sit in that bus
and go and do?
We have even very good buses we bought for Commonwealth, and then go to Ibanda. So let us have strategy. We say, okay, we may not stop the events, but how do we spend?
Do they even in the expenditure or accountability report?
Yeah.
Do they really put something about fuel? The money is spent on silly, useless things.
Balloons,
even a child will know.
Balloons of 10 million balloons. And then and what they are going to leave in Ibanda is water, that. Yeah.
Ribbons.
They are not ashamed. You know, I love people who can really have a sense of shame. You don't have shame.
Safety pins.
Safety pins. Then flyers.
It's laughable.
And then
to be honest, it's laughable,
Actually,
but
I'm
it
crying.
breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because this is money that a sick person in Mulago, in Chirudo, would use to get a free service.
As I wind up, if I was in Ibanda, I would say, you guys, you're talking about corruption. But this hospital has been here without power for the last... To me, that will be now real work that we have come to Ibanda.
Let's do that.
These are the issues, okay? And this is what we have rectified. I've been seeing the IG move around, okay? They go in various places. One time, someone asked me, the Nakalema unit before it went to Brigadier is okay. That is this thing only for local government?
Because
they come with a team and then they go to Mbale, bombard the 20 million they are trying to recover. But how much have they spent?
Coming.
Their team. Sometimes they would fly choppers. How much
to go recover 20 million?
20 million. And then I asked, is this State House anti-corruption unit only meant for local government? Tell me which office, apart from a few instances where they have said, now we are in the Ministry of Finance as the State House anti-corruption unit. Be that as it may, those units are even illegal. There's no legal establishment. We have very many problems. So we have a problem of corruption. But even the avenues of fighting corruption are also a problem. If you don't have any entity that is legally mandated to do the work, it will be corrupt in itself. How much money goes into that unit? Which vote? What is the accountability mechanism? Actually, the members on that unit, how much do they receive? What are the allowances? And yet the IG says, I don't have money. So I think that it is time for us to...
That duplication of work.
Yes, it's time for us to get to get legal anger. Yes, anger that is acceptable as a citizen. I have my duty to fight corruption. If it is naming and shaming, do it. Because then it just shows that the leaders are not helping. But also, lastly, I think for me is that it falls back on leadership. The fountain of honor, the president. I don't think that he loves to see his voters not having water. His voters.
He was shocked with the poverty of Busoga.
He shouldn't be shocked. He has been a president for the last 38 years. You were shocked that people in Busoga only eat mangoes. You shouldn't be shocked.
But people should not tag the leaders to becoming watchdogs all everywhere on your bumpers. Self-consciousness also will help us, the Ugandans. Honestly, by the time, if we are to always see the leader should be there to watch you, how about when I slumber a little?
Exactly.
Now, everything would have gone to the dogs. For me, I think people should be personally responsible.
All of us.
You see, a shirt like this, by the way, on me, this shirt, I think I stayed 8 years or 13. But I think it's still good looking, my friend.
It is.
I can appear in it. But people,
lifestyle,
suitcases over suitcases. You pick some to give out. Stealing government money.
Lifestyle,
You know, the lifestyle.
And keep up with the fashion.
A total mess.
Greed.
Too much greed. Local governments, it's worse now. Now they don't have money. What is sent to them? If you do not put money for going to the field, I swear whatever you send to local government will remain waiting for you at the door.
The parish model.
I saw Honorable Gwang doing a bit of service check
When it was
And,
means of monitoring.
oh my
and it
God.
ended there.
The boreholes weren't active. Some were built when they heard the minister is coming. And then the village people are saying, let them not lie to you. These things have been dead. And then you'd see offices that are falling apart. The cement is not working. And I was wondering if we are rotten at the bottom. And also at the top, we are saying we are rotten. Is it a lost case in our fight against corruption? I think it's critical for us to also examine that bit. Is the fight against corruption a lost cause when it comes to us as Ugandans? Honorable Obigah, you can come in there.
I think it's not a lost cause. You know, a lost cause. For me, at times, you use the microphone or to scan. You scan near yourself, microscope. And so far, so good in Terego. Our chairperson for LC5 is opposition. Actually, it's the only opposition, highest level of opposition who won for Mugisha Muntu. The position is held in Terego. But the man is very objective.
Hey, they are organized.
His vice chairperson is NRM. Secretary of Finance is NRM. When there is an information from State House that should be implemented, my chairman swings in action. And he is nowhere. You will never catch my chairman with anyone's money. You know, to say the least, his belt, I've never seen chairman with another belt. From the time of campaigns until I saw it getting torn. I said,
and then you said,
hey,
let us change.
Let's change this one. You know, a chairman who says, if HIV/AIDS was that thing that can change the life of the people of Terego, I'll go and sleep with it. You know, down to earth, listens to everyone, you know, gives it all. But of course, our roads have gone to dead because we don't have the equipment. You can say he's corrupt. Within the shortest time, he's already doing so many things. Our district headquarters looks like it's one of the old districts now. We're coming up with a very huge building. Yet he has put other big ones too. He's doing a stadium. How many new districts are doing that? When he has given land for magistrate, for courts to put its premises, police, and so forth. But the money he uses is what is within his budget. He has not given chance for anyone to take money of the district. But God forbid, if it was not him, what would we be talking here? I mean, I really caution him. I said, Chairman, for my sake and for the sake of the people of Terego, if you are almost tempted, even if it is in your hands, pick it, say, hey, put it back, go. You better sleep hungry than being caught in a corruption activity. Once you are caught, remember my portion. So far, so good. Okay, we're waiting for more years. But how many chairpersons are willing to listen and take a leave?
Do the same.
Many even now ask Cow, how can we take money? They ask Cow, how can we now sort out this issue between me and you?
The amount of cows that have been taken in the PDM money are too many.
Too many.
Yes.
Too many. In fact, I will urge them if they can try checking Terego. I trust they'll come with no one. So long as the chairman is there. By the time you take a coin of Terego, I want to be honest with you, you'll be caught in your own act. And you'll be asked immediately before even you finish anytime. First of all, there is this NRM wing that does not want him. So they want to catch him. And the man also wants to catch them.
So that helps anyway.
That helps that I'm in the right party myself, you people. So if maybe for me, I would think every other district should employ this. But if we're all in one party, what am I trying to say? We Ugandans, we are the ones promoting corruption. Even a person arrested of corruption, when they are trying to give a punitive action, phone calls, this is my so-and-so, this one, don't you know this one-so's relative? This one is untouchable. Why would you touch so-and-so? No, this cannot be it. They really changed the name of corruption. No, it was not corruption. Yesterday, a prison's warder, if I was near him, I think he would have slapped me. I told him, you are indisciplined. This is the report. I looked at your file. you were dismissed not because there was something against you. No one wanted you away, but your own actions. You are so disrespectful. You pick what is not yours. You have a lot of money of other people. You theft by trick. You are so messy. He told me, let me see if I'll be in parliament again after 5 years. I said, my friend, you didn't vote for me. And besides, I'm not planted in parliament. For me,
You're not a true in parliament.
I'm not. So time comes, I leave. So people can defend their corrupt actions. They are not remorseful. If they were remorseful, we'll see, okay.
That impunity.
With impunity. In Uganda, things are done with impunity. Abnormal spending. Somebody is not ashamed to. Today when we were coming with my driver here, there was a vehicle driving. You know, somebody sits comfortably in 600 million car, in 500 million car. Go to that person's village. People are malnourished. Are these people
there
mad?
There are no roads to that village.
People are not in good shape. Are people mad? What is wrong with them? Have we lost our senses? Have Ugandans stopped thinking humanly? Are we no longer human beings? And these ones also who are in villages who can help themselves, very lazy, very lazy. They sit by the roadside. Anyone passing, hey, give me something small. I stopped that.
And they won't work.
For me, when I'm driving, you dare stop me. If I want, I get you arrested. I tell them, if I want to stop,
I will stop by myself.
I will stop. When I greet you, greet me. Do not ever dare. I'd rather lose your vote than stop to please you. I don't.
They encourage you to be lazy.
Yes.
They are trading centers. I come, I tell them, I beg you, don't vote for me. I really beg you. Let me. If you vote for me, you will know me. I don't need your vote. But how many MPs can stop boldly and tell trading centers, if you want by force? Because they abuse you. Look at you. You never go back to parliament. Stupid. Corruption. I'm not here to buy your votes. I'm here to do my work. If I wave at you, I am driving to the farthest part of Terego. Now I starve those people with information.
To please this one.
To please. This is corruption. I always want to pamper you. I pamper you to go where? Unearth those who are on the wrong. I want Prime Minister to buy my coat. Just saying, oh, we say sorry. Sugar quote. No, it is called Dawa Queen. Me, I take my chloroquine without sugar coat. And I think I'm comfortable. That's why I say, President should one day wake up and say, who are these people? 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Leave.
True.
If you act and then go and pick their things, name them.
Yes.
Others will feel happy.
Yes.
But just to see people move like this.
Leave my people.
Hey, go there. They move here. No.
But one time he said that as long as they are investing, that he doesn't want to chase them away.
But how much do they invest? Majority goes into drinking. They invest in a peanut.
Yeah, and what are they investing?
What are they investing?
Ladies and gentlemen, let us come back. And the conversation I want us to come back to have is on the level of degeneration of debate that is happening in the 11th Parliament. Honestly, this week I was in shock when one of the tabled motions that are to come is a home marriage. That the conversation of a home marriage is something that is at the center of Parliament. When we come back, we'll talk about that degeneration, the birthday bashes, between the marriage conversations. How do we have more sensitive conversations going forward? Let's take a break.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices, and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Yeah, welcome back from birthday parties and bashes to a beautiful Range Rover or two to the critical conversation around Sarah Opendi dying, a member of Parliament's shot. And seemingly, as we keep having these conversations, it looks like there is something happening in the midst of us, dealing with critical national matters that we need to talk about. But this week, the Committee on Rules and Discipline also tabled, a censure of Honorable Persis Namuganza. But in her defense, she shocked a lot of us when it came and she deteriorated the conversation in the House to matters of a marriage. Whether it's fraudulent or not, how do we recover national debate in the issues of the citizens of Uganda in the 11th Parliament? And that is where I want to pick your brain as a citizen. In your capacity as a citizen, who sent, I don't know which district you come from, who sent a member of Parliament into that house? Do you feel that the conversation and the level of degeneration in debate represents your interests at any point?
Thank you. My take is simple. It depends on, okay, with all due respect to our honorables. It also depends on which people we send to Parliament.
Yes, that's true.
I've always said that for me, I believe in servant leadership. And there are some people who went there because of excitement of the population. And also it depends on, so it is also important, do people know the role of a member of Parliament? Is it about, I love you, so I want you to go there? Now again, Orieko. So there is the honorable. He said, please, also, I want to eat. Allow me also go and eat. People say
that was his voting slogan.
What do you expect in terms of debate?
Delivery.
I always tell people that there are some MPs there, I think, who say, oh, I wish I wasn't in the Parliament because of the colleagues they are with there in terms of argument, the shallowness in terms of argument, in terms of the flow. You see, so for me, it is about that. And one time I also said that what is opposition? For me, I always look at, for me, I've always thought, and I wish Uganda thought the same, that being in opposition does not mean opposing everything.
Even the good things.
You are just a check. You are supposed to be a check and balance. You are giving the other opinion. You see, not fighting everything. So for me, in terms of when people start talking about personal issues over national issues, it is who did you send in Parliament?
Yes.
So for me, I don't blame some of these people in terms of what they discuss. That is who they are. If someone, I'm very sure. For me, there is one time I shared with the honorable when we were in interview. I said, I think I've taken 2 months without watching TV. And why? Because I get disappointed. When
I hear you.
Yeah, when you see what is happening and also what becomes news. There are some TV stations. What is news? You get shocked. What is news to them? Headlines. This and this. Someone has bought a car. I mean, for me, I would be ashamed. With all due respect, I would be ashamed. It is not bad if I have a wife and I buy a car for her. I buy a gift for her.
He was given at Parliament, and yes. I think maybe what shocked people was that even the members of Parliament were standing on the balcony to receive the car.
Yes.
So, because they're friends.
So for me, I would, So for me, it is about what makes news as a country, also for the journalists. For me also, it also goes to journalism also. What makes news? Oh, it becomes a story. So and so has bought a car for the so and so. I mean, but the economy is bleeding right now. And it is not, and the economy is not only bleeding in Uganda. I always put it in context. Globally. You're saying, as an MP, I would feel shy to get publicity that I'm getting 800 million shillings plus to buy a car, yet my people don't, we still have children who go to school on foot. Their foot, no shoes. Jiggers. I mean, look at where they come from. You were talking about the president getting shocked with the poverty. Where do those people? Yeah, where do those people come from? That side. For me, I always say that. So, like the honorable said, that at times we become too. We give a tall order for our leaders that the president, this, the president, this. When you look at our ministers, even there is a balanced composition. East, West, the tribalism aside. But what are those people doing? What issues are they bringing? Because they are supposed to represent the people. Now, when they stop representing the people, when they are supposed to speak on behalf of the people, then it becomes a problem. I remember one time the late Gloria, may he rest in peace. There is a time nodding disease. It was a problem.
And he brought it in the floor of parliament.
Because, and the passion, the emotion he had, speaking, how can we fail to have money? There is no money. How can we fail to have money? That is a national issue. Now, for me,
but he was a man of principle.
Yeah, so those are the issues. For me, I like servant leadership. Represent the people, speak for the people. But you see, when we have a population whereby up to now, even the people don't know the role of an MP in parliament. They think an MP is supposed to buy an ambulance.
That's true.
When an MP doesn't go to bury, you are not going to.
And they put pressure on you. Yes.
And then when you just wave, they tell Honorable because you won't vote.
You see. So there's one time I remember Honorable Medad, when he was in his constituency, they said, my role is not to come to bury. My role is not to buy an ambulance. My role is to represent you in parliament. But in terms of mindset, you were talking about mindset. There's a lot we need to do. Poverty begins with the mindset. When we say, okay, like right now, what we know right now, because 2026 is not far. Now, some of them, because they have not been there with their people, they are now rushing back.
I noticed campaigns are in gear.
Yes, so for me, it is about servant leadership, but also it is incumbent on our leaders, Honorable Rose and others, to always sensitize the public about their roles. That I'm in parliament to do this. Vote me because this is what I'm supposed to do. Not because I bought you a car, I've given you a truck to go for burial. I mean, that is why they're always asking for salary increment. I always say that I don't envy these MPs. For you are looking at 30 million, but they may not even be earning that money.
That's true.
Every week someone is dying. How many
others pretend that someone has died to receive money.
So for me, it is about the people you send there. When you send, there's that word I always, I'm very sorry, with all due respect still. Garbage in, garbage out. The people you send there, what you can't.
A reflection of society.
Yeah, it is a reflection.
And I want to bring Michael in there because it also bothers me because it almost looks like this is a representation of society. Are we losing critical dialogue and critical citizenry conversation around democratic issues when it comes to us as a people? Because it's problematic. If the people you sent to parliament, they've turned it into almost a house of gossip.
And theatre.
And theatrics. So you have all this theatre and then the other MP stands up and says, me, I didn't give out money. And that is the submission for the debate that he has.
The entire day.
How do we, recover constructive debate in our democratic issues with our members of parliament?
Thank you. And I also want to say that we people have suffered.
We have.
We have suffered.
We have.
The guys make their mess. us. It is
Yes.
us. There is still money. It is us. There is no money in the hospital. It is us.
Yes.
So please leave people alone. We've suffered enough. Do your duty. There are two things that there is the systematic issues, and let me give you an example. When you have a house of 529,
Oh, there are many.
okay, even if we say everyone is going to speak and we give them 1 minute, how many days is it going to take to discuss an issue?
That's true.
That parliament originally was designed for maximum 80, but I don't know, building a new chamber. So, and I can guarantee you, in 2026, there are going to be more.
It's possible.
Okay? So, the thing is not about how many are there for you to feel the representation. The roles of parliament are for appropriation, oversight, representation, and legislation. Now, for us, we are proposing even models. Can we resize? Because then you have people we're even proposing that let people apply. You just have a parliament and that does all that work, and you have 80 people in that house. Or you go back and say, okay, we have 100 districts, 2 MPs from each, male and female.
Male and female, true.
And
Have
leave it
the
at that.
50-50.
Yes, and we go that and we say this is what we have. And then, honorable, they spent money in orientation. There was I don't know whether it was a full month orientation of especially the MPs. Now, so they spent money, rules of procedure. Oh, what have you? There was a whole week. I don't even know whether a whole month orientation. Are they that quick to forget? Okay. So sometimes we put it so much on citizens. Yes, that for me, I think that. And I'm one of the proponents who say, no, it's not about a reflection. We sent you to do the things we want you to do for us. The power we gave you only exposed who really you are.
How do we hold them accountable beyond?
We are supposed to hold them accountable. How many people call their MPs? I used to call him on many issues until they go, and some of them even go up to my father and say, is he planning to stand or what is happening? But can't we hold our MPs accountable? Remember there was some discussion about bail, you remember, Honorable? And we called some of them and said, guys, on this one bail, even you will need it somehow. It's phased out and it came through the bail guidelines, which are also being challenged and here and there. But at least it was not passed by Parliament. They didn't bring a constitutional amendment.
Yes. And I'm worried because we have 2 parliamentarians who haven't stepped in office for a while. And that ought to be a critical conversation.
Systematic issue. I've been saying that actually the people of Makindye have never participated. They have never passed a budget. Yes. They have never passed any law. Yes. In fact, we should not even take for them the Computer Misuse Amendment Act because they have never passed it. They are systematic issues. When people go and study, but they are MPs. So who is representing people? When an MP is sick and is in jail for 2 years, who is representing people in that particular thing? When you're a minister and you have as an MP, when you do the oversight function, because now you're calling the minister to the committee to answer.
And it is you.
But then you are the MP.
But the other time the Prime Minister says they are too busy.
So exactly. Number 2, you have a Prime Minister who is an MP. At what point does she table the issues of her people and debate them objectively? At what point do you do that? You have a Vice President who is an MP. At what point does the Vice President debate the issues of her people she's representing? But what are people doing? We are happy. Our MP is a minister. We will eat from there. We are happy. But the issue is representation. The 4 things. You take an oath as an
critical
MP. Then again, you take an oath as minister. So which one should we take? Systematic issues. And I can guarantee you, some of us are working behind the scenes. We are going to challenge that aspect. Because then, we need to sort out. Executive, be there. Legislature, be there. Judiciary, be there. So that then we know how to assess you. Yes. And let me tell you, if you're a minister, where will your primary office be? Mbu Parliament? Mbu Room 204? Honorable Rose is telling me, how can you find me at Kingdom Kampala, room 204? No. You'll be a minister.
Yes.
So at what point are you going to deal with, first of all, I am coming to you to deal with minister issues, but your constituents also need you. They can't see you. So there's that bit of systematic
And so how do you show up? Are you showing up as a minister, to your constituency,
or you're showing up as an MP?
Oh,
okay. But lastly on that point is that that said, it doesn't mean that you don't have to put up a good show in Parliament. We need a Parliament. A Parliament, you see, it's not just about a talking show. That guys, you saw me, I shouted.
I was on TV today.
I was on TV today. No, but it is about the substance, the contribution to the debate. But that contribution to the debate means that actually you can even call the House to order and say, order, I have a point of order. We were discussing finance and this. We have digressed.
Now we've digressed, we are in people's marriages.
But people enjoy those things, you hear them okay, hey!
I saw.
I know it is okay. It is okay to have some fun. It is okay sometimes to have some fun and what have you, but you see, we can't degenerate. The other time, we had an issue with Rocco. The speaker then moves the motion by themselves. It's not on the order paper. And they pass a motion to give Rocco money. That thing still has an issue and it's going to be challenged. You know what I mean? So we need to have, first of all, as a Parliament, you need to be very careful. The decisions you take are very serious decisions. That whatever you're doing, it's not just about you. That don't think that we will not watch. We've been doing all these constitutional petitions. I spend most of my night reading Hansards. Okay? To find out exactly who said what did they say, what did they miss here, what the rules of procedure say. Because then you have to, Parliament has to be serious business. Yeah, we bought iPads for those guys.
They play matatu.
Yeah. So I think that Paul, I think the citizens, we've done our part. But the part we're not doing is now the demand side. We have supplied.
To account.
We have supplied. We have done the supply. We have supplied leaders. We have supplied them. And now we are falling apart. Actually, we have a bigger job. You know what? We are the employers. So as an employer, you must supervise the employees. We have a social contract. So I am happy that Honorable Rose is accountable. You call her and she tells you all these things. The things she's talking about, what she's doing in Terego, some MPs will not do because they will say, we cannot go. So for me, I think that lastly, that the people themselves should demand. Unfortunately, we can't censure MPs.
Oh, you know, you can't.
In this current dispensation. But that also, we are taking it to court.
Can we advocate for it?
We are going to take it to court. Court will scrap it off. Because then why do I have...
So I should have a vote of no confidence.
Yeah, I should have power to hire and fire.
Yes.
You don't have to say,
employee.
Wait. Yes. So all those things, we are going to sort them out. And if people are willing, to change this country, one of the things that has a problem, that rule of law and lack of proper governance, that's why you see corruption. If you have a parliament which cannot read a report, an IG report, then you have a parliament
or
that
even
is going
follow up on the report.
Follow up on the recommendation.
No, IG report is supposed to go to my committee of human rights, and I think we're starting it next week.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
we have time because this tomorrow is human rights day. Then after that, we'll be able to have this.
We're supposed to have it.
Yes.
Not that we don't want to look at it. Actually, we'll find out why they have not done that.
They have done that, and that will be very good. So, lastly, for me, is that people are doing a good job, and I keep asking, are these the only MPs we have? You see the same faces for every committee.
I hear you.
You actually sometimes you be like, hey, where is Rose, Honorable Rose? Because she's supposed to be there. She's the one you know.
Yeah.
There are people in Parliament who have never said anything.
Are your MPs attending?
Yes, exactly.
Do they know how to say?
Or they're always flying. And do you even know what to say? And then they'll say, we have problems, research assistants, or what? Just deal with those things. But you see, once we have to first deal with it. So there are three things: systematic, the software, and hardware. That the hardware, you have where to sit as Parliament.
Yes,
even if you call all the MPs, they will not fit.
That's true.
In that chambers. Now, those are the hardware issues. The software is the kind of person. What are you adding to yourself to become a better legislator? They're just dealers and not legislators.
And let me bring Honorable Obigah into this conversation as we wind up to the next conversation. We have Honorable Zake table a motion on arbitrary arrests and missing people, and he's pushed into disciplinary committee because he's out of order. And then we have Honorable Passes Namganza come on the floor of Parliament and talk about people's bedrooms and marriages. And there was a big ruckus that happened because everyone now had an opinion around why she was out of order. And it's also problematic because she's also being censured because she's problematic as a person anyway. But how do we recover, discourse that is critical? Because I believe arbitrary arrests are critical to this conversation. We need to address that issue. Is it really happening? Is torture really happening when we speak about it? And so in the face of critical conversation, how do we recover, mainstream dialogue? Because this is a dialogue happening in the public space. Mainstream fears of the citizenry without, digressing such a beautiful space into, the politics of this said, that said, who said this one gave out money, that hearsay politics. And we, center ourselves on the critical issues of the day.
Thank you. I really thank you for this topic.
Yes.
If there is torture or no torture. One important thing is I sit on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. And again, I sit on Human Rights Committee. These are very critical committees. One, as a lawyer, I like to get evidence to everything.
Yes.
We were given over 20 people purported to have been torture victims. If you were there, you would have cried. Because these people just thought they would arrive and they'll say, oh my God, oh sorry, what happened? Oh no, this was... No, I must understand if you are really tortured. There's one guy who brought a photo of a policeman who was passing in front of a shop. There was a boda who was carrying 2 people. He parked. The other person was trying to stand, I think, to leave. There was a lady entering shop. You can see this is a shop environment. Now the guy alleges these people threw a canister. I asked him, how many were you? No, we were almost 5,000. More than 3,000 people. Were you dispersed fast or you were together? We were together and they came on police patrol van. This is a man walking. Said, no, wait a minute. So when he was throwing, he jumped off? No, he was on the van. Say, okay, photographic interpretation. Then here comes a medical form. This is a guy, when they were trying to throw canisters to disperse them, I don't know who told him, say, once it lands, quickly
throw it back.
As he was trying to throw,
it cut his fingers off.
It just came to pass it. And now he brings an allegation which he could not put it to better use for us. Now they say, no, we were aggressive. Now there is a lady who says, I was raped severally, I lost the baby. Now, when we checked and followed footages, she burst crying, no, I've never been arrested. Then you find this batch. Now, what happened? No, my husband, he was putting on a t-shirt of Bobby Wine. I really want the listener to get me clear because I participated in interrogation of these 20 people. Honestly, at the end of the day, the other people said, no, for me, this person we're saying is missing, is there, is in Italia. I even went to see this brother of mine 2 days ago. You are sent before us to be a torture victim. Then you come and say, no, it is not me, it is my brother. It is my husband. No, has not disappeared. Is there. If there's anyone out there who can come to Human Rights Committee, I repeat, if there's anyone out there who can come and clearly say, I was tortured, A, B, C, D, we're still willing. We are ready to listen to your story. And then parading yourself here. You go to Nairobi. You go where? What is their motive? It is wrong. Yes, I don't say that there is no torture. Can we justify? We looked for the so-called these arrest places of soldiers. It's called what? Detention places.
Safe houses.
The safe houses. We hunted for safe houses. We talked to these people in camera. I can tell you there's no single safe house. Meaning the safe houses If they were there, they were closed before I joined parliament. Now, we are talking history here. Yes, Napoleon Bonaparte did ABCD. Maria Antoinette said, no, we are not living in the past now. We want to say, yes, Caesar, where you're standing is the area of God. So, yes, the state torture, I want to agree. But where are the victims? At times, you know, acting high-handed. You see, people abusing police officer. Very provocative. If they slap you, and you also know that you have abused, you run away. Then you go and speak to each other, you don't want to come. Because you know you'll be caught on the wrong side. 2, if I'm caught talking about any marriage in parliament, I think it is total insanity. The people of Terego should recommend me to be taken to Luzira. It is cheap popularity, foolishness, stupidity. It does not help my people at all. It is not in order.
It doesn't help them to get electricity.
First of all, in the whole world, this is not the first parliament where people are getting married. People are getting married. There are many MPs who are not married. By the way, it is the worst thing to me as Rose to get into a relationship or marry a colleague member of parliament. Do you know why? I am stressed with my own issues of Terego. Then you carry yours also of Chiboga or of where? Then we combine. Shall we then rest? Shall we do anything in that bed? Wait a minute. Okay, let me first answer this person from Rupi. Okay, wait. So when you are turning to him, you say, I still have this other issue from this. So it is a mess. I see these guys as my brothers. You know, you are chatting, you see him in a mess. He's making his mess. They say, but could this be a husband, really? This cheapness, this kind of brain, you know, I look for a certain thing. At times, it's a problem to take me for a date. Because I go into your details. I start checking
who are you?
But who is this? But leave me to be in my world. And when we are talking substance in parliament, some people take it as a point of relaxation. But to me, it is cheapness. I don't involve myself into people's affairs because the baggage I have is really too much. If I add that one, I can crash. Why don't I carry my size?
And focus on you.
And especially if you're in disciplinary committee, as you're speaking, so you're adding, you know, fuel to the fire.
It is real madness. I think it's, even if you're provoked, you should not be provoked to an extent where you lose your mind. The people doubt you.
Emotional intelligence.
You should really have emotional intelligence. You should be able to manage yourself. You see, one day a member of parliament told me, you will never travel so long as I am the one heading athletics. I've been directed that you should never travel. I looked at him, I said, Mama, my brother, do not, because I've been told too much about you. You are arrogant, you want to pretend you know more, you want to be every. I said, no. Before anyone tells you that you know too much about me, they have told me too much about you. One, you only have a certificate, you don't have a degree. And me with 4 degrees, what can we talk here now? Please. Can I tell you more? That you like discussing people. And you don't have sense of argument. Now continue flying and traveling. I don't want to travel. And the following day, I was told, bring your passport, you're going to London. I said, you see, why should I go to that heat of Juba, where I have been several times selling toilet papers to get school fees for my brothers? I've come from far. This laxity, luxury of funny people, I'm not part of it. I remain in my lane. Do not cross my lane, Kabisa. You dare my lane, I will crush you. I behave like a train without brakes. So, those other childish talks, they don't help
the people.
Really childish, foolish, useless.
And the house needs to get back into order.
No, we are in order. Only there are few elements. If only they can check themselves and get back to the house. Because parliament is trying to check its dignity. That's why you hear the censor and so forth. But really, you know, when they say you have done something wrong, for me, this word sorry or thank you, you know, when I arrived here, I said, oh, I got lost and this, I'm sorry. But how many MPs are able to say sorry? So, even if you are a prince, princess, or who, if you say sorry, will it take away that title?
I think it's also a value system.
Yeah, you shouldn't, you know.
What values do you have?
So me, I look at the bills on table. You know, and now we are trying to see how they can merge some entities and so forth.
Yes.
But for me, I'm looking at critical areas. One on my list, NEMA. 2, NFA. 3, UNRWA. I have my own list. I prepared it very well. I'm ready to die for them. Yes, because where are we going?
Yeah.
Exactly.
There are selfish people who want now to cut down forests completely, put their bungalows, and they mess us. They think they want to be in London, Europe, everywhere. But those people, they have parks which they never touch. We Africans, we have not reached there. Selfishness. People have been reclaiming wetlands.
Yes.
Now, if we take this and mix back, where shall the water sources of Uganda go?
Yeah.
For me, I'm thinking and doing my own things. There are some laws that we are supposed to pass, bills that we are supposed to pass into laws. There are some ministerial statements we are supposed to make. Yeah, if not, we shall phase out on SRHR. Me, I'm looking at these issues. Can I add value to the girl child? Can I add value to the boy child? What can we do to the most vulnerable person? How can we do mindset change? I have a fleet of 50 doctors who will land up in Terego from 2nd up to 8th. Terego will be full of doctors. I want them to do 2 things for me: mindset change and do medical camp. They should feel the people of Terego and talk to them and tell them, please work for yourselves. Work for yourself. Do savings. Start with 1,000 per week. Can we now clean our compounds? Can we clean our homes? Can you have your child in school? Can you make sure you eat balanced food? Can you plant the fruits the woman MP is giving you? Can every home have at least 1,000 trees planted? The tree seedlings is free from the woman MP. Can you have your own asset list? What do you want to do with your family? If I say Parliament is now in those love things, I focus back home. Because
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't have that time. And I promise not to have that time. Because people must be able to live the other side of the love. There is no need to bring it on the floor of Parliament. But even then, that day I was in the house. After she messed up, the speaker went back and we had on floor, they tabled the report of Committee of Trade.
Yes, of Church.
And other committees.
Yes.
And for me, I was busy checking what has trade got to do for us. What do they have? She will be okay.
She will be okay.
Yeah, to me.
She will be okay.
Really, she'll be fine.
As we go into this last leg of the conversation, and I am very happy because you're here and you sit on the Human Rights Committee of Parliament. This has been the Human Rights Week. And you also preempted that conversation because this is, as we wind down, we want to talk about, the Attorney General had a presentation to the, Committee on Torture. And he rightly said, in Uganda, there are no safe houses. These things are not really happening as they are claimed. And the people that are saying these things perhaps have their own agenda. And then we had the Minister of Justice, Nabaye, Mao, say, actually, torture and abductions do happen. Arbitrary, arrests are happening with us. And we need numbers to these things at some point. And I'm glad he's here because he also works for a torture institute. And these are things that, they interrogate. But how do we deal with the narrative? Especially as Zaya began, we saw the Kankwenza case. Somewhere along the way, there were also other cases that, mushroomed into, I was abducted. And then we had recently the sheikh that was taken. It was an arbitrary arrest. And then we had carburetor that was taken. So with such a narrative, especially in our human rights epoch, how do we, create accountability, but then also hold security organs to account Or is there even anything that we are holding them on account? And I'll begin with you, and then we'll do a wind up. I'm going to end with you because it is critical for me that you conclude this conversation.
Okay.
I'll begin with you here.
Yeah, issues, human rights. I always tell people that human rights is not an event. Yes, we are in a Human Rights Week, but for me, I always tell people that human rights is a lifestyle. It is not a ritual.
Yeah.
Or an event or a ceremony. The challenge for me, I want first of all appreciate the Committee on Human Rights. They have trust in our reports. We try as much as possible to verify, and also we try to consult as much as possible. You see, even CMI at times refers to us cases. Says we want you to
deal with this case,
to verify some of this. You see, so that means there is will. It speaks to will.
Yeah,
there is will. However, there are just some elements because you find the UPDF has also been trying people, their own officers for human rights violations. You see, now the issue about in terms of the sentence, how deterrent is it? Now that is another discussion because 6 months or else we feel it is what, but still it is a sentence. Now the challenge is, and I don't want Honorable to lose faith. There are some people who fail. It's not about failing.
There are some people who fail.
Yes. I've always saw someone that there's a time when I was still not in communication but legal, you could have the same narrative, especially the refugees, our colleagues, the refugees, the same story, sexual abuse, this and this. And later, there is someone who because we were working with the UNHCR, when they investigated some of these cases, they realized some of them were doctored. There was someone who was actually expert. I know how to write for you a story, so how to get resettlement.
Unbelievable one.
You see, someone comes to you, but what they need is not this service you are giving, the treatment, but for them they want a third country. They want resettlement.
Yeah.
So how do I get the resettlement? It is like an interview now. How do I get
The
so
you create a problem.
So they had someone who was an expert. I can write a convincing story.
Yeah.
Those are unfortunate cases. However, at least she has accepted that yes, there is issues of torture.
Yeah, they are there.
Yes, but the challenge also is that evidence. You see, even when we interact with the DPP, the ODPP, the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, the challenge they have is evidence. In most cases, it is the evidence remains between the victim and the perpetrator.
Interesting.
You see, you find that because there is you don't have a smartphone. Okay, let me first take a selfie and I take this. And also, you find there are even these friends of ours, the Abonekas. Most of them fear taking on these cases.
I hear you.
There's a time we did a survey, and we were asking these private practitioners, legal practitioners, how many cases of torture. They say, for me, I don't want to lose my business. I deal with land issues, those under Human Rights Commission. So at the end of the day, for me, I always tell people, I always appeal to the people that at the end of the day, where we fail is there is duty and responsibility. I mean, rights and responsibilities. You cannot allege without making effort to provide information. Most people say, the Ghana Human Rights Commission is useless. Those civil society organizations, they're just eating the donor money. Those people, even as you are bashed, there are a number of radio talk shows I go to and people are tough on you. Those people, they are just eating money. I always tell people that you may, even if it is 100 people, but only one, as long as one person has evidence, testimony that, these people have ever done something
this is what
for
happened.
me. For me, it is what people should start to appreciate. You are saying police is torturing. Yes, if it is torturing, but it's also their role to investigate and what?
And give a report.
Yes. Now, let us report to them these cases so that they fail. In their work and say, oh, we reported 1,000 cases to you and you didn't take action. Other than saying, they tortured me, but I can't go to police, it is corrupt. Police is an institution. There are a lot of people. I always say people that OC may be corrupt, but DPC may not. DPC may be corrupt, but RPC may not. You see, so for me, it is beyond. It is institution.
It's institution.
So for me, that is always my argument, that issues of torture, the president has come out so many times to talk about.
And I think that is where I want to bring Michael in. In talking about it, it almost looks like there is something that can be done about it. But how do we marry action in getting answers? Because I feel like people need answers. And that is where people are getting frustrated at. It's like, what's the real picture? If we are having 20 people giving testimony and they are doctored and false,
only one person had seemingly
had something,
but he had also over-exaggerated. Now at the end of it, he had to now cry and beg to cut to size
to the truth of it. So how do we, get answers for the citizens of Uganda?
I think their torture is bad, and also human rights violations, because it's not just torture. The man of arrest. And I keep wondering, can't you just come and tell me exactly what the Constitution says? I am Michael, I come from this, whatever, I'm taking you for this reason, you have a right to your lawyer, you can actually call him, and we can even go together. I look forward to that day. And I want to challenge the institution of police and others to show me one case study, just one.
That has been arrested without a fight. That
you tell me all the things you're supposed to tell me. Just one. Let them just try even this week. Just one. Just one, and then they say, we are okay as Uganda. Just one. So number two is that the president is a fountain of honor, but commander-in-chief.
True.
When we had LDUs beat people during COVID-19, the president said, stop beating people. Didn't they stop?
They stopped.
So why can't he do the same? When torture was happening, when there are drones everywhere, and I think even I said, we need accountability. And I remember the CDF apologizing. When there was a lot of beating journalists and all of you after the Kololo incident. And I don't know, then later, I don't know whether it is a demotion or not, but we need an accountability. And I think that it all comes back to if I'm in charge and I'm commander-in-chief and I'm hearing these stories, I need to take a concern and investigate them, and as a commander-in-chief, and ask people.
You have a headline that says that drones are back.
And you are seeing, the video is there, people are being taken. Because there are many people, Honorable Rose, who will do things in your name down there in Terego, even when you've not sanctioned. So the same people who are torturing people, saying orders from above. And as you, as the head of state, as the commander-in-chief, I want to ask you to call the people to order, because we voted you. You are the head of this family, Uganda, commander-in-chief. So please call people to order, and the allegations must be fully. And I'm looking forward to him getting another address like he always does on issues of human rights and torture. We'll be happy. He's the commander-in-chief.
Especially because now the directives on COVID look like we've gone back a few steps back. And yet the realities that we've been living have been of Ebola and the economic crunch and the way forward on the endemic of drones. And as we wind down, Honorable Obigah, because you sit on that committee of human rights, you're placed in a center of power where you can give us a commitment to where we are going. How do we, recollect ourselves when it comes to our human rights, commitments, even when the report comes, what critical areas and issues within governance and within, our public can we commit to in making sure we do not have arbitrary arrests happen? We deal with the drone endemic, but also we deal with the torture issues.
Okay, thank you. I want the listener to get this from me. On the two committees I sit, I attend more than the committee chairpersons. Meaning, when the committee chairperson has an issue somewhere, me, I'm always there.
The chairman there.
And I have very often chaired the Human Rights Committee. And I do everything in good faith.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah, before God, I don't benefit anything by coming to lie here and say, yes, in impunity, that there are no torture victims or there's no torture in this country because I am NRM or I want to protect something. I benefit nothing.
Yes.
I also benefit nothing to come here and start lying. Many people are tortured when I don't have the evidence. Truly, we get information from everywhere in this country. People started sending some photos from Congo.
Oh.
From the rebel areas where people's backs are cut. I say, now, please bring the face. Don't give me the back, give me the face. I identify, and if I don't identify, we put it to the verification. We will get this person. They will never post that again. And this report where we said we don't have torture victims who have been brought before us genuinely, we all signed, including opposition. By the way, we have NUP members. The shadow minister of human rights is NUP. She signed. She was there when we were interrogating. She is a lawyer. We signed. My problem here is somebody says they don't trust you. If you say you don't trust police, maybe because they have been in this, you don't trust army and other entities, fine. But me who has been elected by you, honestly, me who is your servant, me who has come on air and say, come, come, I'm your mother, come and speak to me. Now, if you do not want to give me information, what best can I do? Well, actually, what are you trying to insinuate? I want to tell Ugandans one thing. Can you love your country the way you love yourself? Because you are a Ugandan and full stop. By the I stayed in Switzerland, a very good country. But I felt I should be back in this country. I'm one person who feels so good when I'm in this country. The air, I think the air I breathe here is different. Even when I was not in parliament, when I was even home without a job, I felt this country is where I should belong. Few Ugandans have this heart. They think they are going out there exaggerating things so that they can put the country in a disrespect. No, it is they themselves. You are actually tarnishing your own image because the investigations have been done. I still say our doors are open. We are willing to put sanity. But then let me tell you, when prisons appeared, Director General, or prisons, Doctor Commissioner General, Commissioner General. If he was not this man who appreciates these people are looking for the truth, I think me and him would be on parallel lines. I ordered him out. Get out. Out. I don't want to see your face. We're asking for simple documents. If they are bringing these people from the so-called safe houses, handing them over to you, because all the people who are listed, we found them. They were either in Chitalia or they are in Luzira or on the way to Entebbe. Chigo. Bring us that book the way it is. When they came, I will understand this thing was written the other day or this is a fabrication. Because why do we have the health units in prisons if you're saying there's nothing? Honestly, they went, they humbled themselves, they went. The Human Rights Commission, I ordered her to resign. The chairperson said, resign, you are good for nothing. I abused that lady. I was so provoked when she said, oh, you see, out there, the people are calling me. Oh, I said, calling what? Calling what? You know? But later on, this lady proved to be innocent. Yes. You know, you are harassing too many people for nothing. So what am I trying to say? We are willing to put sanity in place. Because today is you, tomorrow is me. Exactly. This country is for all of us. Why would I sit back to see you being tortured and I know when you touch my flesh, it is painful. And to the security operatives, army came, I don't know how many times. We call them, send them back, come, go, back and forth, back and forth. They all understood our play. We said, you see, the president is willing. This is a government we serve. You are making us appear dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you go and clean your books? Stop this madness. Stop arbitrary arrest. Of course, some people, they resist arrest.
Yeah.
Just look at this case where the Minister of Works was attacked and the daughter died. Some of these cases, these were people, the camera showed with the motorcycle. The camera showed, they thought they were done. Now, as they have picked you, you come and say, so-and-so was there, so-and-so was there. And all of them are in Chitalia, they are there. You know, this is after you have put your brain to use. But did they pay me school fees? Did they even vote for me? They make you torture people for nothing. In quotes, they are trying to crack down crime. Now, as they crack down crime, there are people who think they can say no because we are Noop. No, Noop has got nothing to do with this. Why do you want Noop to appear like they are now starting to kill government officials?
I hear you.
Does this go well with the top persons in Noop? No, we are not here to victimize anyone. I don't gain anything. By the way, when we're in parliament, we now sit freestyle. Mostly you find me seated this side of
The
opposition. I'm not opposition. We sit there because there's no space. We are more than the rest in NRM. We chat with these people. We even say, oh, you're crossing to Noop. No. Either way, you see your blouses today with yellow. You are now NRM. You see, we chat. It's not about do or die. But the principle remains. Can we sign to serve the most vulnerable, to serve the needy and do the right thing at all times. And I am always guided by my rosary. I beg God to let me remain on the right lane forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I love that you ended with your rosary, because we forget God in these matters a lot of times. Because part of our moral fabric is centered on our belief system. Thank you for joining us this week. Parliament continues. Please tune in if you can to UBC to watch, the conversation and the debates that happen there. So you know what your MP said at a particular time and you can hold them accountable. But from us here at Civic Space TV, we thank you for joining us today. I've been your host, Tricia, Gloria, Nabaye. See you in the next week. I think you.